Hey guys, Nuzley here, and so we're back to another YouTube video. Today we have Alien X from Ben 10 versus Golden Experience Requiem from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you enjoy this video, dislike and subscribe. If this video gets really confusing in parts, let's just know that it is. I had a headache, several headaches, trying to think over this fight, but here we are now. I'll try to do my best to, explain the outcome of the fight as we go on in the video. And yeah, let's just get around to it. For strength attack potency, most people put Alien X at high universal since he was able to create and destroy a universe just completely. But in fact, he's actually much more powerful than that. Because you see, he's part of a race known as the Celestial Sapiens. And the Celestial Sapiens are capable of rewriting everything that goes on in the Ben 10 multiverse, for lack of a better term. The Ben 10 universe is made up of infinite universes and infinite timelines. And, Alien X or the Celestial Sapiens are capable of changing from how it looks to how it sounds and everything really in between. So yeah, that's what put Alien X's power multiversal plus at least. As for GER, or Golden Experience Requiem, I'll just refer to him as GER for now. He's capable of killing Diavolo, who was also capable of surviving attacks from Silver Chariot, who could damage Dio, who survived an explosion of a ship, which is around 60 tons of TNT or city block level. There is another way you could scale GER to Ben 10's level of strength, and we'll get to that in the conclusion, but for now, Alien X is just way more stronger than GER. The thing that makes GER so overpowered is what we're going to talk about in the ability section. So yeah, Alien X has the strength attack potency point here. As for speed, and the creators of Ben 10, or one of the creators of Ben 10, stated that it's the same Alien X that is used for every single Ben 10 throughout each timeline, which would imply that, Ben 10 or Alien X is just beyond time. And not only that, but, would have a measurable speed considering, there are infinite timelines within Ben 10. And, Alien X being able to travel through any of them unrestricted to any point in time, wherever he's needed, would imply immeasurable speed. As for Golden Experience Requiem, he was capable of moving in a universal time skip. So, time is completely skipped, it no longer exists, and he was still able to move throughout it. Also, if you look at the stand charts, Made in Heaven is stated to have infinite speed, and yet when you look at GER's stand chart, it has speed as none, which would imply that it is completely off the scale when even the scale has infinity on it, which would also imply immeasurable speed, so the speed would be a tie here. As for durability, Alien X should scale to his attack potency, considering the fact he's able to damage people who can hurt him. So yeah, he would also have multiversal plus durability. As for Giorno's durability, it is a little bit up in the air. Again, he can harm people who can harm him, so he would also be around city block level. As for GER's durability individually, stand users cannot be harmed, or rather, stands themselves cannot be harmed by non-stand users, so he would be kind of invulnerable there. So you could argue that GER has a durability point over Alien X, although Giorno definitely doesn't, so yeah, GER has more durability than Alien X, but Giorno does not. As for abilities, weaponry, and technique, Alien X is telekinetic, he can fly, he also isn't really affected by time and can rewind time. Celestial Sapiens can make themselves bigger, he has biological manipulation, like he can manipulate plants and things like that, he has regeneration, force field creation, mind manipulation, he can create multiple clones of himself. Mind manipulation, nigh omniscience, teleportation. He can summon things to him, create black holes, create portals. He has fire manipulation, life manipulation, and can erase people from existence in the blink of an eye. As for GER, he's capable of hitting ghosts and intangible beings. Stands can only be seen by other stands, damaged by other stands, and all damage from a stand will reflect the user. GER's first ability is being able to create life. Essentially, he can turn inanimate objects into living things, as he wishes. I'd also turn them back as well. He has minor body control, as he can, flip his ear inside out. He also has the ability to adapt his life-giving things. For example, after being exposed to Purple Haze's, toxic gas, he was capable of creating a snake that had the antidote for it. He has supernatural willpower, as shown when he was, bloody, really cut up and really injured, and yet was still capable of fighting at full capacity. He also has the ability of whenever he punches someone with his life-giving ability, it causes their conscience to essentially go extremely fast and leaves them vulnerable at least for a few seconds as well. He also, as GER, can fire energy blasts from his fingertips. He can levitate / fly. His most well-known ability, and the thing that makes him so overpowered, is his ability to reset any action back to where, zero. Essentially, GER, let's try the simplest way to explain it, right? Say you wanted to attack GER or Journal, right? You prepare yourself and you run up to go punch GER. That thing, the act of going to damage Jorn or GER would then just not happen, and you'd be right back to where you started before throwing the punch. You just couldn't be able to do it. The limit of what GER can do this to is quite unknown, considering the fact he was able to do this to someone who is able to skip through time at a universal scale, which would bare minimum give it a universal plus range, but it is kind of unknown where the limit is. He also has stealth mastery, resistance to toxic and gases and things like that, diseases. He also has the ability to, whenever he kills someone, he puts them in an infinite death loop. So you feel the pain of death, however, you never, get the release of it. He also, whenever, as GER, increases pain. Like, the pain that you feel is much more exponential, as shown when Diavolo said that, he'd never felt pain like this. He was rolling in agony after a fat man stabbed him with a knife, and yet was completely fine after Polnareff sliced his arm. So, GER can also make you feel much more pain than you actually are feeling. GER can also create after images, can heal people and himself. He has minimal age manipulation as well. He can clone things, like for example, he was able to clone Mumbo Jumbo, the turtle, out of just his own cells. He can sense souls, he can bring people back from the dead, at least momentarily. He has underwater breathing, empathic manipulation, telekinesis, and if you were to attack something that GER created with his life-giving ability, essentially the attack that you just used on him would then reflect right back onto you. And I mean the exact same attack. Like, for example, Echo's Act 3's ability is capable of making anything way heavier. And when he used this, or tried to use it on just Golden Experience, it reflected right back onto him, and he was, dealt the damage that he would have done to Jorno. So, yeah, for who has the better abilities, it is really up in the air. Being able to erase people from existence against, being able to reset any action, regeneration against attack reflection. It is, almost kind of subjective in a way. I'd probably have to give the abilities point to Jorno, but for versatility, I would argue that Alien X has it. Just given how much more he can do and the things that Jorno can do, or at least most of the things that Jorno can do, Alien X can also do as well. So yeah, abilities point goes to Jorno, the versatility point goes to Alien X. As for weaknesses, Alien X, if he breaks the Multiversal Preservation Act, he will get punished by his own species. He's also susceptible to life and energy manipulation. As for GER, damaging Jorno will put damage onto his stand as well. But apart from that, Jorno doesn't really have anything. So for his worst weakness, I'd argue that it's Alien X. As to how it would affect the fight, we'll get to that in conclusion. But yeah, Alien X is more vulnerable than GER. And then time for the conclusion. They've gathered from this that the speed is equal. Alien X is more powerful, more versatile. Meanwhile, GER is more durable, has better abilities, and is less vulnerable. So who wins the fight? This is extremely complicated to go over, because if we go by what we've seen them both do, Alien X would outscale GER and therefore, be able to beat GER since he's much more powerful than him. The issue is, can Jorno reset someone who is more powerful than him, or at least use his ability on someone who outscales him in terms of, dimensional tiering? You know, could Alien X enact as mind control on Giorno? Or would that just not work? Would Alien X be able to, you know, erase Giorno from existence? There is a way you could scale Giorno to Alien X, and I'll explain it now. On the stand chart for speed, as we said, it said none. And, you know, comparing that to Infinity, it's completely off the chart. So it's also there for his strength as well, which would imply he has beyond infinite strength as well, which would also be multiversal. If this is the case, right, and you take GER as multiversal, then he would be Alien X, because then there's not really much of a way Alien X has any sort of leverage over GER. Eventually he would just win. The fact that Alien X can't see or damage GER is also going to be a pretty big thing in Giorno's favour. However, the thing that Alien X has over Giorno is also the ability to clone much easier. It's unknown if GER could like clone other like stands. I doubt that he could, considering, you know, the only thing he's really been shown cloning is a turtle. But, you know, if that's possible, then, you know, that's also, you know, a fair match for Alien X. But yeah, so it is a little bit of a complicated answer here. If you take what we've seen in both shows, then Alien X would beat GER. If you take, you know, some stand chart that, you know, it can be seen as an outlier, considering GER, his best feat shown is high universal. So it could be taken as an outlier, but if you go by the stand chart, then GER would be Alien X. It really just comes down to what you know, think would happen, because it is really just about dimensional tiering, and that already in and of itself is confusing. If you enjoyed this video, dislike and subscribe. I apologize I couldn't really get a concrete answer, but, you know, you try and come up with one, you know. And yeah, I will see you in the next video.